It is the single most important question in grocery store aisles around the world, the one that gives consumers pause, the answer to which can ultimately make the difference between profit and loss for producers and retailers. Where does my food come from?
To our customer, that's often the first question we get. Where did this come from? And they want to know. They want to know if it was sustainable. They want to know why it's better. And they want to know where it came from.
All the consumer research that we're seeing today is that the consumer wants to know more information about their food. The problem has been we haven't been able to provide that information authentically because we didn't have a system to back it up. Today we have that system.
Consumers are increasingly more sophisticated domestically and internationally. They want to know things about their food. They want to make a connection to their food on, in some cases, a very personal level.
In international markets, the answer is easy to come by. Mandated by governments, the traceability of vital foodstuffs is either law or so expected by consumers that it might as well be.
What is required for European Union producers is also required of any meat imported into the European Union. So we require exactly the same standards and levels of traceability for all imports to the European Union.
Well, they used to say in Japan, for example, that you'd look at something with the eye, the nose, and then you would taste it. But what they're saying now is you first have to know about the product, then you'll look at it, and then you'll smell it. Of course, then you'll consume it.
Domestically, while there are no such traceability imperatives, consumer demand is growing. Where does my food come from is an increasingly asked question and concern, and one that, when answered correctly, can make a difference at the cash register. People willing to pay for confidence, trust in the source of the food they buy.
Thank you so much.
Just ask the folks at Tony's Dry Creek Market in Denver.
We go talk to the farmers. In case of pork, we actually visited the farms. In case of salmon, we visited the salmon farms. We visited our salmon fisherman, the local fisherman that spends his time half the year in Alaska. We visited him and actually spent some time with him to understand what he does and why the product is better. And once we're satisfied of that, then we're going to support the product and explain that to our customers, why this is better.
They're willing to pay for the extra pennies on these steaks here that we have, or extra dollars on the pound on the steaks we have here, for the quality, for knowing where it comes from, for knowing that it's a Tony's steak.
But how do you take what works at Tony's, complete hands-on traceability, and expand it across the board to large chains nationwide? The answer is simple. IMI Global.
IMI Global verifies what we call credence attributes. So there are those things about food products when a consumer picks them up, they can't discern with the naked eye. So we're all about going back in the supply chain and helping farmers and ranchers make sure that they're truly doing the things that they're supposed to be doing to verify those claims that end up on a package.
We work with ranches from California to Montana to Florida to Pennsylvania. So what we had to establish was a network and a process which allowed us scalability on a very, very broad level.
For 15 years, IMI Global, started by CEO John Saunders and run now with his wife and company president Leanne, has worked to perfect a system to trace cattle through the entire production chain. Working with over 6,000 clients across the country, IMI Global has complete traceability on every head, every calf in its system. From ranch to feedlot to processing.
If you want to capture more marketplace and more value, even domestically, much less internationally, traceability plays a role in that.
With concerns over food safety, where my food comes from, the consumer's getting more involved as they get removed from agriculture to where food comes from a store. They're getting back to the point where they'd like to know where it comes from, who produced it, how it was handled, how it was maintained. And I think it's going to continue to grow from here. I think the consumer ultimately is going to be the driver in the market.
The IMI Global system is so good that it has become a difference maker in the exportation of U.S. cattle overseas, markets that would be closed to American beef without the traceability provided by IMI Global. Clients seeing real dollar per pound increases in revenue because they're in the system.
From a cow-calf producer side, I think those guys have seen 50 cents to $1 hundredweight advantage to their cattle. From a feeder perspective, it's ranged anywhere from a $25 to a $50 per head premium. And obviously the packer's making money on it since they're willing to pay that.
Yes, it takes some time, and yes, it's a small investment. But return on investment is great for us because we can spend just a few dollars per animal and probably get 2 or 3 times what we've spent back through this agent source verification.
IMI Global now plans to make the final link to the grocery store aisle with its Where Food Comes From program. Using the same techniques it has perfected in the cattle business, IMI Global's Where Food Comes From program is expanding to the entire perimeter of the grocery store, providing retailers with a point of differentiation from the competition.
This provides them a way to have a common communication and marketing platform over all their products to promote that emotional connection and to support that brand trust that they've created with the consumer that's stepping into that store every day.
If your stores fly the Where Food Comes From banner in the produce, meat, and poultry sections, consumers will have the added confidence it takes to make that final sale and to keep them coming back. Is total security in the sourcing of the food you buy and feed your family worth a few extra cents per pound? The answer is obvious, and IMI Global can give it to you.
We're at the tipping point to where verification provides opportunities for differentiation and the adding of value to the product that we produce. Because when you know where food comes from, you can tell that story. You can build that trust. You can have transparency through the supply chain that goes from the point of origin to the time that that consumer puts it on the plate. And that provides added value and a return to the producers of that food.